In a quiet pocket of the world where worries tend to whisper a little louder live the squishlings, soft, squishy, square-shaped creatures who specialize in calm. Each squishling is born with a little extra weight in their bellies, not by accident, but by design. Their gentle heaviness is their way of grounding you. When life feels a little too fast, too loud, or too much, a squishling is there to sit quietly in your hands or lap and remind you to breathe. Their weight is like a warm, gentle hug that tells your nervous system, hey, you're safe. They're quiet companions content to simply be with you. No pressure, no pep talks, just presence. For your little squishling, you are going to need a few materials. The first is going to be obviously yarn. I have yarn in 4 different colors. The multicolored I will use for the body, the white for the beanie, and then the purple and yellow I will use for the socks on the little squishling. You will also need a crochet hook that is recommended for the yarn that you are using. So I'm using a 4mm hook for this. You will also need to use a yarny needle for ends, buttons or safety eyes, a pom-pom for the hat or the beanie. You will also need a pair of scissors, and then finally a foot from a stocking and the pellets, the plastic granules or pellets. Now you can substitute this for food items such as rice, beans, or even lentils. Any small food item would be good. Just keep in mind though that if you are using the food products to weigh down your little squishling, you won't be able to wet or get the plushie wet in the washing machine. So just keep that in mind, that if you are gifting this or selling this, plastic pellets are best for this because food products will go moldy and be a safety hazard if it does get wet. This video is beginner friendly. However, if you are completely new to crochet, I recommend you watch my beginner crochet video where I go very slowly and step by step through how to do a slip knot, how to do a chain, how to do a single crochet, the very basics of crochet. So to start our squishling, we are going to be making the 2 body panels, the front and the back panels. And we're going to start off with a foundation half double crochet foundation chain of 15. And what that means is instead of doing 15 chains and working back into those chains with half double crochets, we are going to be making the chain and the half double crochet at the same time. Let me show you what that looks like. We're going to start with a slip knot on our hook, and we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. We have 2 chains there. And then we're going to yarn over before inserting our hook into the second chain from the hook. Yarn over, insert your hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through. So we have 3 loops on our hook. And this is where we're going to first make the chain and then the half double crochet. So holding your work on your side here so you can see all 3 loops on your hook, we're going to yarn over and pull through the first loop only. And that is considered as our chain. And now we can yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and that is a half double crochet. Now we're going to make our next foundation half double crochet. We're going to yarn over, and this time we are going to insert it into the 2 front and back stitches that you see here at the bottom of your work, right over there. We're going to yarn over, pull up a loop. Now we're going to yarn over and we're going to make our chain first. Going through just the first loop, we've made our chain. We still have 3 loops on our hook. We yarn over, pull through, and that's our half double crochet. We're going to do that one more time. We're going to yarn over and we're going to put it through the 2 front and back stitches here that make the V. We're going to yarn over, pull up a loop. So we have 3 loops on our hook. And what's really nice is if you don't have too much tight tension onto this first loop on our hook, if you kind of pull up a bit, because if you pull down, your chain is going to start curving towards the left here. So have this first loop on your hook a bit looser, not too tight. We're going to yarn over, pull through. That counts as our first, that counts as the chain, sorry. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3, and that counts as the half double crochet. And you'll see as we start making this, we've done 3 half double crochets, and the chains at the bottom also have a front and a back loop. That's pretty neat, and that's what's really nice about this foundation half double crochet chain. It actually allows us to have the front and back loops at the bottom as well as the top. So I've made 3. I'm going to make another 13 to give us a total of 15 half double crochets. So there I've gone through the first loop, which is the chain. Now I can complete the half double crochet. Again, yarn over, put our hook through there, pull up a loop with loose tension on that first loop, yarn over, pull through, that's our chain, yarn over, pull through, that's our half double crochet. Now I've got 5 here. I'm going to do another 10 and then we'll meet back. And there we have our 15 half double crochets into the chain. We did those at the same time. And now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1. That's our turning chain. We're going to turn our work. And we're going to crochet in 15 stitches across, also doing half double crochets. So for this, we are going to yarn over, insert our hook under that V, and make a half double crochet. Yarn over, insert our hook into that V, pull up a loop. We've got 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3. That's our second half double crochet. We're going to do that all the way across, so we have a total of 15 half double crochets. There is your second row of half double crochets, and we are going to continue that pattern. So right now we are going to chain 1, which is our turning chain. We're going to turn our work, and we are going to work 15 half double crochets all the way back to this end. And we need a total of 17 rows for each panel. So right here I have done 2 rows already. I need to do another 15 rows to get to the 17. Do the rest of this. Feel free to pause this video and crochet until you have 17 rows. And then we'll meet back and I'll give you further instruction on what to do with your panel. I've just finished the first panel and I've cut an end off, not too long. And we're going to finish this panel off by chaining 1 and pulling all the way through. We are just going to be finishing off the first panel. The second panel that we're going to do now, you're going to repeat what you've just done. The second panel we won't be finishing off. We're going to be leaving the working yarn on so that we can crochet these 2 panels together. So go ahead now, pause here and repeat exactly what you've done. We've done the 17 rows of half double crochet with 15 half double crochets across each row, and we'll meet you back. All right, we have the 2 panels here, and obviously mine don't look exactly the same in regards to color because it is a color changing yarn. But what we're going to do is we're going to identify which is going to be the front panel and which is going to be the back panel. That's pretty simple because the first panel that we did, that we finished off, is going to be the front of our squishling, and the part where we still have the loop attached to our working yarn, that is going to be the back panel. So what we can do right now is go ahead and add the face to our front panel. That's going to be the front of our squishling, and also any details such as a mouth or blush, any type of details you want to add, you can do that now before we sew them together. If you are a bit more of an advanced crocheter, you can do this afterwards, but just in regards to ease, it'll be a lot easier to sew on the eyes or insert the eyes and do a little mouth at this point. So I'm going to show you what that looks like and where exactly to add your eyes and your mouth. To make sure I'm adding the eyes to the right place, I'm going to add stitch markers just so that I don't mess up the placement. So I'm going to count the rows from the bottom ups, and the eyes are going to be between row 10 and 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. So that is kind of right there where my yellow is. And I'm going to put a stitch marker here and count about 5 stitches there. So So this is really not a necessary step, but just for myself, I'm going to put stitch markers. So if you're wondering why they're there, it's because that's where I'm going to sew my eyes onto. And I'm going to be using the cotton yarn because it is a button. My normal yarning needle won't fit through the eyes of the button. So I'm going to have to use some cotton to sew these on. So I'll do that now. And of course, if you are using safety eyes, you can just place them in between row 10 and 11, and then you can put the backings on, and that's a lot quicker. I have just sewn on my eyes and they look like they are crooked, but it's only because this eye is slightly smaller than that, and it's just a little quirk that my squishling will have. So now that we have the eyes on, I'm going to do the mouth with a small piece of cotton yarn, and that's going to be around row 8, 9, just below the eyes there in the center. To fix my squishling smile in a smiling position, because it is just flat at the moment, I'm going to use a dot of craft glue and then just pull it down so it can dry in a little smile. Now that our squishling's face is done, we are going to sew the 2 panels together. We're going to be crocheting along 3 of the sides to make a pocket. And once we have that little pocket with the 3 sides sewn together, or crocheted together rather, then we are going to fill it with our pellets and our stocking, and then we are going to sew up the final end. Let's do that now. I'm going to show you. You're just going to need your crochet hook again. And with the panel that still has the working yarn attached, that we're going to keep that in front of us. And this panel, which is going to be the front, we are going to turn it around and put it behind there. So this is the back of our squishling and this is the front of our squishling. And we are going to crochet through both these panels to close the 3 sides. So what we're going to do is we're going to line it up. Let's chain 1 so that we don't lose that last stitch. We are then going to go into the end of each row. So you'll see the rows or the lines going down now. We're going to go into the first panel, then into the second panel. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through a loop. Then we have 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through both to crochet a single crochet. Then here is the next row, that line going down. We're going to insert our hook into that one, into the row behind as well. So we have the 2 panels. Pull up a loop. So we have 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through both of those to crochet the single crochet. We're going to do that all the way down until we get to the end here where there is a corner, and I'll show you what to do there. So let's continue crocheting these 2 panels together. I do recommend doing this with looser tension because it will start scrunching the corners of your squishling down. And if you are not experienced enough to have the tension down yet, what you can do is before you go into the next single crochet, just pull this loop up slightly, then go in and make your single crochet. And then before going into your next stitch, pull this loop up a bit so that's a bit looser, and then go into your next stitch. So that's just a little hack for you. Okay, we're coming to that first row over here, which is kind of in the corner. We're going to make 2 single crochets here because we are going to turn to crochet along this side. So we're going to go into the same stitch that we just did and do another single crochet. So there's 2 single crochets there. Now we can go in and make our single crochets going through the bottom of your squishling. And this one's a little bit easier because there are stitches visible. Because we did the foundation half double crochet, there are front and back loops here and front and back loops on the other panel. So this is a little easier than the sides. All right, we are coming to the end of that, and there is the starting tail that you can just hide inside this little pocket that we're making now. And we've done one single crochet. Because it's a corner, we're going to do one more single crochet before going up this final side, crocheting the panels together. We're coming through to the last one. We're going to do one single crochet, and now we have the three sides joined together. And if you turn your work around, you will see the face of your little squishling, which is so stinking cute. And now we have this little pocket that we can go ahead and start putting our stocking in and filling it with our pellets. And then we can close the final end. So I'm going to show you now how to do the filling of the pellets, and then we close that end. So in my experience with doing these squishlings it is a lot easier to first insert the stocking into your squishling rather than first filling it up and then trying to get it to fit in. So what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of loop the stocking over the end and have the pocket right there. And in there we're going to put the filling, and it's going to pull the stocking a bit more to the bottom. So I'm going to go do that now. I have my filling here. I'm going to actually use a scooper of some sort to slowly fill it, otherwise there will be beads everywhere. Now I'm going to take the stocking off the end and kind of bump it on the surface so that it can go all the way down to the bottom, because the beads can get stuck halfway. So just make sure that it is all the way at the bottom before continuing to fill. You can also push it down so that it gets to the bottom, but I found that sometimes there can be pockets where there aren't any beads. So right now I have filled it to the brim. If you do not want to use as much of the plastic pellets or plastic granules, you can fill it halfway, tie a knot in the stocking, and then fill the rest of the way with like normal polyfill stuffing. But for this, I'm going to fill it all the way to the top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a knot here in the stocking so that the pellets stay in there. And if there's any excess of the stocking, I'm going to cut it off. All right, now we have a very nice squishy squishling, and we can go ahead and crochet along the top here to close the top. I'm going to make one more single crochet into that stitch because it is a corner, and at the moment we only did one single crochet. So I'm going to do one more single crochet into that corner stitch and then sew across to close it. We've reached the end. Now that top is closed, I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet that we did and then chain one and cut off this end. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail to sew in that end. And we have our very squishy squishling. It looks so stinking cute. And now you can choose to either leave your squishing like this, which is a very fun thing to play with. Alternatively, you can go ahead and add the arms and the legs, which we will do next. There are also horns that you can add, as well as a beanie. But if you just wanted to make something fun, you could just do a squishling that just looks like a very colorful Pop-Tart. So what we're going to do is we're going to crochet the arms and the legs. I'll show you how we do that and how we attach those. We're going to make the arms for our squishling right now. We are going to start again with a slip knot on our hook with the same color that we used to crochet the body. And I'm going to chain two. We're going to make a circle with 6 single crochets. So we're going to be working into the second chain from the hook. And we're going to start by making 1 single crochet and do 5 more. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we've done 6 single crochets, and I'm going to pull on my yarn tail right here to close that middle circle. And then we're going to go into row 2, which we are going to do another 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, if you would like, you can use a stitch marker to mark the first stitch in each round, but because there are only 6, it is easy enough to count. And that's going to be the arms. We're going to do rows of 6 single crochet, so we have a total of 13 rows. So right now we have done 2 rows of the 6 single crochet. We need to do another 11 rows for a total of 13, and I'll meet you back when we are finished the 13th row. We have just ended the 13th round of 6 single crochets. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fold the opening of this top arm here. We're going to fold it flat, and we are going to single crochet across the top, across 3 stitches, making it a closed end. So we're going to go through the first single crochet there, and the second one on the opposite side is just under where we've just done that last single crochet. Going to yarn over, pull up a loop, so we have 2 on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, that's the first single crochet. We're going to go through the first stitch over here in the middle, the back stitch in the middle, pull up a loop, so we have 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through, that's our second single crochet, and then the last one is just here on the end through those 2 stitches on the end, yarn over, pull up a loop, finish your single crochet, and that is how we're going to end the arm. We're going to yarn over and pull through to make a chain, and we are going to leave a longish tail, probably that long, to use to sew our arm onto our body. I'm going to pull that all the way through. So we have our arm, and we are going to make another one, so we have a total of 2. And I have made one here just off camera. So we have 2 arms here, that is 13 rows of 6 single crochet. So I'm going to put this aside. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make the legs so we can sew the arms and the legs at the same time onto the body. So I'm going to show you now how to do the legs. So for the legs, we have the socks at the bottom of the leg, which is just the color changes. If you do not want to do any socks on your squishling, that is okay. Just continue then starting with the same color as you would with the body, and just ignore the color changes. Do the entire leg just one color, but if you would like to, you can do little socks on your squishling. And I'm going to be doing purple socks with a yellow and a white stripe on it. And I'm going to show you now how to do that. So we're going to start off with the purple. That's going to be the main color of the sock. And I'm going to start with a slip knot on our hook as usual. And what we're going to do is we're going to start again with a circle with 6 single crochets in. So if you choose to use the magic ring method to crochet your circle, that's okay. But I'm going to stick with a chain 2 method. So I'm going to chain 2. And into that second chain from the hook, I'm going to be doing 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3. I'm working over this tail so that I can pull that circle tightly closed. 4, 5, and 6. Now I'm going to pull on this tail to close that circle. Now the next row is going to be an increase round. We are going to do 1 single crochet and 1 increase, and we're going to repeat that for a total of 3 times. So we're going to be increasing by 3 in this round. So I'm going to go into that first stitch right there. I'm going to make a single crochet. This next stitch here is going to be an increase. We're going to do 2 single crochets into the same stitch. This next one's going to be a single crochet, then an increase, then a single crochet, and our final increase. So now you will go from having 6 stitches to 9 stitches. And now for the next 3 rows, from row 3 to row 5, we are going to do 9 single crochets. So we're just going to do 1 round of single crochets. If you would like, you can go ahead and use a stitch marker to mark the first stitch of the round. So I'm going to insert my hook, do a single crochet, mark that as the first stitch of the round, and then crochet 9. So I have 1 stitch left on this last row of single crochets, and I'm going to insert my hook, pull up a loop. Before I complete that single crochet, I'm going to pull through my next color, which is going to be this spotted white yarn that I have, which I cut off from the main color. Put a slip knot in here. So there's a slip knot. And I'm going to use this slip knot, and I'm going to pull this slip knot through to complete that final single crochet so that my next color is ready to go. So that's going to be how I do my color changes. I'm going to take the stitch marker out, and I'm going to do another 9 single crochets, but this time I'm going to be doing it in this white shade. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now before I complete this single crochet, I'm going to attach this yellow because I would like a yellow stripe on the sock. And I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'm going to use this slip knotted color to pull through to complete that single crochet so that that new color is ready for the next round. This round is also going to be a round of single crochets. So we're doing 9 single crochets for this round. So we've already done the first one. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And now this is the last stripe on my sock. So I need to pull back through this to complete the single crochet. I'm pulling back the purple yarn that we have here. It's still attached to my skein of yarn over here to the side, and I'm going to use that purple to complete that stitch. Now for the final row on the sock, we are doing 1 row of single crochets. We've done the first one, the second, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now because this is the last row that we are doing for the sock, I need to now pull through the body color, which again is just off the screen here, because now we're going to continue with the leg as normal in the same color that we used for our body. So I'm going to put the slip knot on my hook, and I'm going to use this slip knot to complete that single crochet. Now I'm going to do 1 row of this body color, and then we will address the ends that I've left there. So this row is going to be again 9 single crochets. Alright, I'm going to lift this loop up a little bit. I'm going to take my hook out, and I'm going to address all these ends. So this working yarn that I have, which I'm going to continue with crocheting the leg, I'm going to put that off to the side so that it's completely out. Now there are various ways that you can sew in your ends, but for this specifically, I'm just going to cut right across all of these stitches, and I'm going to use these stitches as part of the stuffing of the bottom of the foot. So I'm going to take my scissors and right over here, making sure that the working yarn is out of this group because we're going to still need that. I'm going to cut all the way across these stitches. I'm going to use the end of my scissors to stuff those ends in. We will still use polyfill stuffing to fill the rest of the foot, but this does help. Okay, and that is a lot neat, so I'm going to move all of this off to the side. So right now we just have the completed sock, and we have the working yarn still attached so we can complete the rest of the leg. So we have done 9 rows in total up until this point. So we're going into row 10. And for the next 12 rows, from row 10 to row 21, we are going to be doing 9 single crochets. But before we carry on, I'm going to stuff this foot slightly, and we are going to stuff it just until row 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do row 10, but just know that it's just a plain row because from here on out, it's just 9 single crochets per row. But for the sake of this stuffing, I am going to do row 10. And then we'll have enough space for a little bit of stuffing, and we are only going to be stuffing until row 10. The rest of the leg will be left unstuffed. So right there I have the 10th row. I'm going to grab some polyfill stuffing. If you wanted to, you could also use some of the pellets that we used for filling up the body. You could use that to weight the ends of the feet as well if you wanted to, but it might not fit because you would also need to somehow secure them in a stocking, and that might be a little tricky, but you could try. So that was row 10. We are going to go ahead and crochet until row 21. So for the leg, we'll have a total of 21 rows. And I will meet you back after that 21st row so that we know how to finish the leg off. I have just come to the end of row 21, and now we can go ahead and do the same thing that we did with the arms. We can go ahead and single crochet across. Right now we have 9 stitches, and we're going to go ahead and make 4 stitches across 8 of the stitches that are here. So we're going to insert our hook into that next stitch, go through to the back. We're going to make a single crochet. That's the first one. There's the second one. Third single crochet, and then the last one is going to be here on the corner for a total of 4 single crochets across there to close that leg. And again, the rest of the leg is unstuffed. We're going to go ahead and chain 1 and then cut our yarn, and we're going to leave a tail again so we can sew that onto the body. We're going to pull this all the way through, tug tightly, and that's the end of the foot. And again, I've made another foot off here, and we have 2 legs with little socks. Now my color changes may look a little confusing because there is some blue here and some blue up there, but for the most part you should have little socks with the leg color, or the body color, sorry, of your squishling. And now that we have both of the legs as well as both of the arms, we can go ahead and sew those onto the body, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so here we have our squishling, and how we are going to be positioning the legs and the arms. The legs are going to be placed more in the center of the body, like that, and the arms are going to be off to the side. If you really want to create a little bit more of a quirky looking squishling, you can go ahead and put the legs more to the outside of the body and the arms inside the body. That could also work, but for this tutorial I'm going to be putting the legs more in the center and the arms on the outside. So I'm going to start with the legs. I'm going to take the yarn tail that I have left for each leg, and I'm just going to weave it in and out of some of these stitches here. So I'm going to be crocheting the legs into row 1 of the body panel. Now this may look a little confusing because there is 1 row here, but this is the row that we sewed all the way around to close the 2 panels. So this is technically not a row. This one right here is the first row of our body panel, and I'm going to go across 4 stitches. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, and these were the half double crochets, and I'm going to pull my yarn tail all the way through. And then I'm going to be flipping my leg so it's laying across those stitches like this. And I'm going to be going through the leg over here. And that's going to keep it in place while we do a whip stitch through each one of these stitches going through. So what a whip stitch looks like is going back through the body, then through the top of one of these stitches in the leg, and then into the body and out. I'm going to pull on that, and then back down into the stitch on the leg, then out to the stitch of the body, and then back into the stitch of the leg and out the stitch of the body. And there we've just crocheted, or at least, and now we've crocheted the first leg on. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a little knot in here before I crochet any of the ends in. So I'm going to go through the front loop, and then to make a knot, I'm going to put the hook in the circle, back out, and pull tightly. Then I'm going to weave it in behind some of these stitches before cutting them off, and that's the stitches that are on the other side of the front panel, kind of behind there, so they can hide nicely. And then I'm going to cut this tail off, and we're going to do the same thing for the other leg. Here we have our little squishling's legs, and now we are going to be putting the arms on the side through the same way. We're going to be putting the arm on our yarning needle. I'm going to find a place. Now this is up to personal preference, but I do like to do my arms a little higher. So let's say from row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Between row 6 and 7, I'm going to go across 3 stitches because there are 3 stitches on our arm here. I'm going to lay that across those 3 stitches, and then I'm going to be making whip stitches going through the body and the arm. I'm going to repeat that for the other arm. Now our squishling has little arms and little legs with socks, and it is really cute. And feel free to stop here if you would like. If you feel like you have pushed yourself to a point where you feel okay with this little squishling, that's okay. But for this tutorial, I'm going to continue doing a few extra things. We're going to do the horn next. I'm going to do 1 horn in the middle, but obviously you can do 2 horns or however many you want. I'm going to show you how to do 1 horn. I'm going to sew it to the front of my squishling, and then we will do the final touch, which is the beanie or the hat of the squishling, and let's continue. I'm going to be doing a white horn, and this next few yards on my skein of yarn that I was using for the body has white, so I'm just going to use that white yarn. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a slip knot. And just like we did for the arms, we're going to chain 2 and do 6 single crochets into that second chain from the hook. So we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because I've worked over this tail, I'm going to pull it, and it's going to tighten that for me. And then we are going to do 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. For the third row of the horn, we are going to be doing 3 increases. So we're going to single crochet 1 and increase. We're going to single crochet 1 then increase, single crochet 1, and then do a final increase. So we've just done 3 increases in that row. And then for row 4 and 5, we are just going to be doing 9 single crochets. Nine. Now we're going to slip stitch, chain 1 and finish off. We're going to leave a longish tail to sew our horn onto our squishling. Going to pull through. I'm also going to cut this starting yarn a little shorter, and I'm going to tuck that tail in. So there we have our little horn, and she's looking very spotty, very beautiful. Now we're going to take our squishling and kind of round about where you would want the horn to go, either on both sides, or for my case, I'm going to be doing it right in the middle. I'm going to take a yarning needle or even a amigurumi stick, and I'm going to use this to start sewing it on. Now again, I use a simple whip stitch going through the horn and then the body, then the horn, then the body. Okay, right here I have a small opening left that I'm going to add a little bit of stuffing to. You really don't need that much stuffing because it is such a tiny little horn. Alright, now that that stuffing is there, we can carry on sewing this closed. That was probably the quickest thing to do of this whole squishling, is the little horn. And how stinking cute is that? I think she is turning out so well. Now I'm going to be making a beanie for the squishling. So if you would like to choose a color that you would like to crochet a beanie in, then do so now. I'm going to be using the white with the same crochet hook that we did the rest of the project with, and we'll meet back. So with the beanie, we are going to be starting with a foundation half double crochet of 19, just like we did with the body panel of the squishling. We are going to be doing the same method to begin, and this time we're going to be doing 19. So I'm going to start by chaining 2. I'm going to yarn over, and in that first chain, second chain from the hook, sorry, we are going to yarn over and pull through. Then instead of just going ahead and pulling through those 3 loops, I'm first going to yarn over, pull through that first stitch. That first stitch is going to count as our chain, and then we can go ahead and make the half double crochet. Then when we yarn over, we're going to put our hook into that V shape right there at the bottom. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, chain through that first one because that is the chain of the foundation. And then yarn over, pull through all 3 to complete the half double crochet. We're going to be doing that 19 times. Yarn over, insert our hook into that V at the bottom, pull up a loop. This loop needs to have a little bit of a looser tension. Don't pull on your yarn too tight. And then yarn over, pull through just the 1 loop. That counts as our chain. And then complete our half double crochet. So I've got 3. I'm going to be doing 7, no. So we have 3 on our hook right now. We are going to be doing 16 more for a total of 19. Here we have our 19 foundation half double crochets, and now we're going to do a turning chain. Going to turn our work, And then we are going to continue doing half double crochets. We're going to do 19 half double crochets all the way back, but we are going to be working in the back loop only. And what that means is here on the V, you have a front loop right here and then a back loop over here. So we're going to be working into that back loop of each of these 19 half double crochets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook in the middle of that V and go on the behind the back stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3 loops, and that's a half double crochet. Yarn over, insert our hook into the center of that V to go behind the back loop, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 3 loops. We continue doing that all the way across so that we have 19 half double crochets into each back loop. I've just gone through that last back loop and your beanies should start looking like this. We are going to do another chain to turn our work. And we're going to repeat that. We're going to do 19 half double crochets all the way across, and we're going through the back loop only. I have just finished the 22nd row, and as you see, by going in the back loops only, we have created this ribbing effect, which is really cute for this beanie. Now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, and we are going to turn and put the 2 ends of our beanie together. So this is technically row 1 and this is row 22. We're going to put them together so they're facing together. And we're going to go through the back loop of this front row and the front loop of this row. We're going to make a slip stitch. We're going to pull up a loop and pull through this loop. Then we're going to, with loose tension, go into the next back loop and front loop and make a slip stitch. Pull this loop up a little bit so you have loose tension. Go into the back loop of this stitch, front loop of that stitch, and make a slip stitch. So the trick here is to have really loose tension, otherwise you're going to cinch the beanie, the one side of the beanie. So we're going to pull up a loop here a little bit. I'm going to pull up, go into the back loop, front loop, slip stitch, pull slightly on this to loosen the tension. I'm going to go back loop, front loop, slip stitch, pull up, back loop, front loop, slip stitch. I'm going to do that all the way across all 19 stitches. So here we have crocheted or slip stitched rather this side closed. Now I'm going to chain 1 and leave a tail. I'm going to pull this all the way through. And then we're going to use this yarn tail to close the one top of the beanie. So I'm going to take my yarning needle and we are going to put it through the eye of the needle. And then we are going to weave it in and out of these rows here. I'm going to go in, out, in, out, in, out, and pull. We're just going to do every few rows in and out to just weave this through. We're not going to be pulling on it tight yet. We're going to do that all the way around, weaving our yarning needle in and out until we reach the other end. And then once we reached here where we've just slip stitched this end closed, we can stop. We're going to take this yarn string that we have, this tail, and we're going to pull. I'm just going to cinch the top of the beanie closed. And then to ensure that it stays closed, we are going to whip stitch a few times to ensure that this doesn't open up, because as you can see it isn't closed all the way because it's quite a thick beanie. Going to weave in a little and then we can ensure that it'll stay closed. Okay, I've weaved that in. Now I'm going to cut this piece off and I'm going to save this piece of yarn to sew the pom-pom on. For now, let's quickly do this other end. Let's weave this end in. Now here where this seam is from where we slip stitch the beanie together, that is going to count as the inside. So once we flip it over, you'll see that it looks much neater than the other side, and you can go ahead and roll up the end so it looks like a little hat. Now the last thing that we need to do is add the pom-pom on top. Now we have our beanie or our hat with its little pom-pom. And now we can put it on our little squishling. She looks so cute with her little beanie, and your squishling is done. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you did enjoy this, or if you do make your own squishling, please share and subscribe. It means the world to me to have your support so I can do more videos like this.